I'm Izhak Musli. I'm going to be the host today of this webinar hosted by Kudos. I'm the CEO of the company. Kudos is a patient retention platform. As we like to say it, it's the missing piece in your marketing funnel, the back end of the funnel that help you to reactivate your existing patients. We always like to play the game with our customer and say, what if tomorrow nobody new coming into your practice? What do you do then? I think we're not very far with the amount of competition in the market and the slowdown that I see in some of those med spas, that is the strategy they have to apply. Just use your existing one. And so today's theme, and I have amazing other consultants industry with me, we're going to discuss. It's just a roundtable discussion based on a lot of experience. If I combined all of us, it's probably, we're going to be like 100 years of experience here without aging anyone. Audrey, I know you're probably the youngest one. And just share what we've done, what we know that works, and how you can start to do it tomorrow. So Brittany, why don't you take a couple of minutes, introduce yourself, and then from there we're going to go to Audrey, then Janis, and come back to me, and we're going to get it going.
Awesome. Well, let me first say, Izhak, thank you for having us. This is a topic I could talk about till I turn blue in the face, but also I'm taking points away from you. You get a demerit for aging me and Janis by calling Audrey out for being the youngest. This is an industry where we're all the youngest, okay?
I am 80, so you're 3 is another 20, so we're all good. I'll take it on my
My name is Brittany Bureski. Thank you, Izhak, again for the introduction. I am the owner and founder of the Audrey Aesthetic Business Advisory. We provide strategy to both sides of the aesthetic industry, whether it be clinical or industry specific, for growth, operations, market penetration, and go-to-market planning. So I can't wait to hear from both Janis and Audrey as well, but I'm always excited to sit next to you, Izhak.
Thanks. Thank you. Audrey?
Thank you so much for having me on here. Like I like to say at these conferences when we're out and about and I say I work in aesthetics, I'm like, I'm actually 65. Here's my number for my esthetician and my injector. They're like, okay, I'm like, the NAD, it works like a charm. A really good salesperson for that. So I'm Audrey Campbell. I'm the founder and I run the Audrey Aesthetic, which is a blog and platform where I've talked about AI and aesthetics and plastic surgery and wellness since before everyone had the ChatGPT login or people even knew what OpenAI was. I started because I was upset that I couldn't book my Pilates appointments. So I made an agent to go and do that and put it in my calendar, give me updates. And then I was like, hey, this can do something in aesthetics and practices. And how do we make it easier for physicians, practice owners that are super busy treating their patients? How can we make AI more accessible and easy for them? I help a lot of practices in the wellness, plastic surgery, and med spa space that are looking to scale or sale. Especially with using AI as infrastructure. And you can find me at theaudreyaesthetic.com with more information or blog posts.
Nice. And if you guys did not know, Janis is our in-house consultant as well with Kudos. She works with all our clients, all our customers. Janis, take a couple of minutes.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here as well. My name is Janis Snaid, and I am the owner and founder of Medical Practice Developers. And the name pretty much says exactly what we do. We help develop medical practices, med spas, functional regenerative dental as well. Similar to Brittany on the clinical and the business side of things, we do full service clinical training, depending on whatever modality you need, along with actual business modality training as well. And then we also work on the private equity side of things. So helping offices scale for private equity acquisition. But then, of course, after private equity has taken over, sometimes we need a little morale boost. So coming in and giving a little reboot after private equity has taken over. We go ahead and help with all of that.
I always had in mind the retention issue. It wasn't as hot topic as it is today that everybody, that was still actually KPI back in that day and conversions, and everybody was focused on the top of the funnel. But I always realized, and from the businesses that I had, if you don't keep the people you have, What's the point on keep chasing new ones constantly? It's just burning cash, burning resource. And that's really how Get Kudos came along. And so I'm very passionate about this topic. I've seen it as a game changer in some of the practices. To me, one of the lowest hanging fruit in most practices and how they can start to move the needle, rebooking. Tell me, what are your thoughts around how important it is and what they can start to do and what difference they should see in their practice? And so a practice today, obviously at the checkout, oh, would you like to rebook? The patient, no, you know what, let me check my calendar, I'll get back to you. 50% retention rate, that's our industry sees. So 1 out of 2 patients never come back. Exactly, that's where it starts. Brittany, let's start with you.
Yeah, so I typically say that retention is actually an operational problem. It's not a marketing problem. So agree with you there. All the data in the world, but what do you do with it? I think this also comes back to authority, right? This is a problem that aesthetics, and I think even the wellness and longevity specialty space will feel, is that it's not always taken as seriously as it should be and seen as medicine. And so the authority really needs to come from our clinicians in this way. And I watch a lot of practices not put the ownership of rebooking on the entire team, but put it on just the front desk, instead of setting those expectations in the room with the patient of when I need to see you back, this is what we're doing, this is why, this is the plan. Most of us do not argue with our dermatologist or our rheumatologist when they tell us we need to come back for on this specific time frame, but for some reason we're comfortable doing that with our injector. So one of the things that I found really works with a lot of my clients is, again, mapping out what does that process look like, who owns what, and repeating it over and over again so that the patient gets the same experience every time, no matter the provider. But one of the biggest things is walking the patient to the front desk themselves and the clinician saying to the front desk, I'm going to see her back in 3 weeks for X, and I'm also going to see her in a month for X. Please make sure that we get her scheduled for both of those. We'll be in touch in between with pre-care. And if you have any questions, looking forward to seeing you then. Even just that takes a lot of the stress off of the front desk, but also there is just a different level of respect. So I would say those are my big 2 things. Do you actually assign responsibility across the practice? And do you have an actual process that you train on, implement, and expect out of everyone?
Awesome. Audrey, anything to add to that? I have something to add, but I want to wait to the end because I want to hear first your guys' thoughts. But it was
totally
great.
agree with Brittany. It is an operational problem. I'm sure every single one of us would come in and said, well, our front desk, they do all these objection handling. They're not doing it. It's not the front desk job. Yes, they may physically do it, but I always tell them the provider, esthetician, whoever is not doing their job, if they're not telling you not only when, which is half of it, why you're coming back. People that are busy, that are high spenders in our practices, they're busy. They have jobs. So if you're not telling me why I need to come back in 4 weeks because of dermal regeneration, cell turnover, I'm going to leave. The second is what she's saying too, is the SOPs and standards. The best, without AI assistance, rebooking that I've seen in practices and clinics is that they do it at the beginning. They do a mini consult every single appointment. It doesn't matter if they saw them last week. And the providers will book it in the room before they even start the treatment. And they're all onboarded like that. If they miss that and they get missed at the front, it's always known, their patients always know that they're going to rebook before they leave. So going back to, it's not better training. Everyone knows why rebooking is important. We know how to do it, everything to say. But if that's not how you onboarded or train them when they come on, the providers, the front desk, or how important it is, then you can't really enforce that or measure it. So it's super important that that's in your SOPs and training your patients, especially if you're starting it new, you have to train your patients. A new patient coming in is a gift because they'll never know any other way. They'll never know that they could leave before and not have their next appointment. We know when we go to the dentist, it doesn't matter if it's cosmetic or non, they literally will like hold you hostage before you have to rebook. And we know it's hard to get into them. It's the same with this. So along with what Brittany said, the importance of being the, educational and clinical person that is like, you need to come back. You wouldn't have surgery and not come back because it doesn't work in your schedule. This is an investment. So making sure you're working that into your SOPs is so important, and that it's on everyone. It's not just the front desk, the lowest paid person in your practice. It's not just, relying on them.
Great. Janis, anything you would like to add to this?
I agree with obviously Audrey and Brittany. My 2 cent takeaway is as well, as someone who started her career at the front desk of a huge derm practice, even though my degree is in microbiology, it was really starting from ground up. The front desk is the most abused part of an office, and they are the most important part of an office. So again, setting the expectations appropriately, but then to echo again what everybody has said, we are not recommending treatments here. We are prescribing medical procedures. The skin is the largest organ in the body. We wouldn't go to our regular practitioner and they say, oh, well, you need a blood thinner and you need some cholesterol medication and you need some blood pressure medication, and look at them and say, I can only afford one of those today, you pick. Right. We're never going to do that. But why do we allow that to be the standard of care? So really creating annual treatment plans and making sure that not everything can be done all at one time. So you're on different cycles for different treatments all the time. So your office needs to be trained to say, okay, they came in for Botox today in August. We're looking at September, October, November for your next toxin appointment. What else are we going to be doing during that appointment? But don't forget, we are preparing for this as well. So we need to book, this facial for this and get ready for this wedding. And this is laser. So everybody has these multifactorial cumulative treatment protocols that need to be taken into account.
Great input. I'm just going to give my 2 cents more from the data side actually here. And I'll say, walking the patient to the front desk, ask them, I want to see him in 2-3 weeks, and leave, you're likely going to hit about 60% booking. Because what happened the moment the provider leaves, the patient is like, this date, and then the front desk, how many times that happened? He's actually not free in 2 weeks. He's going to be free in 5 weeks from now. And then all of a sudden, it's not what they wanted to show. I need to think about it. Bam, disappeared. And so that's one. And the 90% rebooking rate that I've seen, provider in the room, before the patient leaves the room, there is already an appointment for the next time. Front desk, charging them, provider rebooking them. And so just from the data, again, you're the consultant, tell them, what is it they need to say exactly in the room? You don't want I'm not going to be the one, but from a data point, they cannot leave the room without already have a future appointment. You're going to drop, and that's just free money really to keep. It doesn't mean that you're going to retain 90% of them. They're going to call, cancel, right? There is cancellation rates, stuff like that. But the rebooking, at least that can be ironed and fixed.
Absolutely. I agree. I think one of the things that comes up with clinicians concerned, as you mentioned, in the room of what they say is they feel like it's pushy and salesy. If you truly are, I always refer to the bird personality types, because I think they're very clear for people to understand. But if you're truly that dove clinician type and you just really don't want to push someone, this is where I love to blame technology and say, well, actually our system, it's automatically going to put you in so many weeks out from this treatment because that's the expectation. So if you don't give me a date that works for you, it's still going to book you. Let's make sure it's something that actually is a good fit.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I think that, and one of the questions that we got, how is not to sound pushy? To me, sounds pushy is when you do something without the true care about it. And if you use like, I care, I want to see you again, I want to make sure it's me, I want to make sure it's on the right day, that's where people don't feel you taking care of them. The worst day, you can say, listen, I don't want it. And that's all.
It
Or they're
sounds
gonna lie.
pushy
Most
when
people are
the
gonna
front
lie.
desk associate's like going through every single objection handling. That sounds pushy. That leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
100%. And the experience is getting hurt as well. And we'll touch experience because
Yeah.
I think it's the final dot that connects the whole funnel, really, right? From the beginning to the end, and the retention all at the end falls and live by the total experience. Okay, we're talking about experience. Actually, let's move to another very important topic. It is in retention, but I won't say it's direct associate. I think it's an indirect, which is reviews. Reviews also has a lot to do with that, because if you don't get that, it means your experience sucked. It's reflection of a lot of things, and so I would love to hear from you. I have also, again, a lot of ideas and things to share, but we're here to hear you guys. And so, what is the right amount of reviews that practice should expect to get? How to ask them the right way? Let's start with you, Audrey.
Thank you. So the right amount of reviews, I think, can really, really differ. I'm going to go back to a little bit of like SEO and GEO now. It's really changed since December of 2025 in how LLMs are pulling like, hey, what's the best surgeon in my area? And so you could have like 3 amazing reviews and like photos on them, and then someone else down the road has thousands of 5-star reviews, but some of the words, how you respond to them, how quickly you do them, is making sure that you're going to show up there. So obviously when LLMs, which is how we're searching more and more often, I think it's like 40% of people finding their next clinician are going to ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude to find their next one, or Gemini. And so making sure that you do have those reviews, that you're responding to them. And then if they're doing the traditional, search engine, making sure that you have those keywords that in the semantic that in reply for that. So the second thing is, I feel weird, I feel pushy doing it. If you are talking to someone and you just getting them ready for their son's wedding and saying, it really helps me if you leave a review, and saying it like that, kind of tying it back in, it's helping me if you just have a second. The third thing is, which Get Kudos does, is we're busy people. As soon as I leave and check out, I'm in a car, I'm driving home, you're picking up your kids from school. You might love it and everything's amazing, but if we ask that one time and we send them a text right when they're leaving, they're never going to leave that review. We have to make it so low entry and so easy, just like it is to book. We have to make it literally like almost give them the review and prompt them and everything, because our attention span is so low. And we just need to make it a lower entry to, or lower barrier to leave a review. It's super important for a human when it's looking at its next, when they're looking at their next clinic, but it's also important for LLMs too. And that's where we're going with AI as well too. So having something that can do that multiple times, remind, prompt, make the barrier to posting a Google review and putting it across all of the review platforms will be super, super important. And then just tying it into, hey, it really helps me. It helps people like you. I've helped you with your HRT and your menopause. I want to help other people like you. And it really helps them when they're searching if you post about your experience here.
Yeah, and I'm just going to give some fact that maybe people don't connect the dots, how reviews are connected, but it's connected the same exactly as referral. By the science, by the data, if I referred a friend to a place, instantly I became more loyal. It's the same goes with review. If I left a positive review on a place, I'm likely to continue to go to this place. And so by doing it, by making that action, by having somebody leave you a review and say how great this place is, the chance of you then moving them to somewhere else after they brag and told all everybody that they know see it, it's very unlikely. So that is your retention win is huge, And not even talking about brand new clients coming through because of that and all of that stuff. Janis, anything you want to add to this?
I agree. I know, as we all know, the regulatory laws regarding reviews are definitely out there. So it's not like any other, traditional business. There are regulations with regard to leaving medical reviews and things like that. So obviously asking your patients when they are most happy during a visibly good outcome is going to be the most important. We always want to help other people. It's human nature for the most part. So I think honing in on that and recognizing, just like Audrey was saying, that everybody needs a review to not feel a little as alone in this journey that we all feel, right? We all feel like we're the only ones suffering from the problem that we're looking for, even though we're not. And that's where reviews really come in when we are selling or we are educating those physical solutions to emotional problems. I find that's where the best reviews come about, is when you have really connected with that patient on an emotional level. You've impacted their quality of life in a positive way. And then you go ahead and ask for that to be able to continue to do that for others.
That's great. Brittany, I want to hear your thoughts on. I'm going to add another small variable to that, because both Audrey and Janis use the, oh, do it so you can help others just like I helped you. And I think it's nice. Most of the reviews are wow moments that people share. Oh my God, Justin was amazing. I love this place. It's always clean. They get me with no waiting time. And it's more just the wow moments that people share with others. And I think that some of the psychology of when to ask the review is actually when you're happy. Why are you happy? Because unexpected moment happened, right? Positive.
Absolutely.
And so,
And that's my addition is why are we regularly asking for a review at the time of checkout, at the point of treatment versus at the point of result? It's another reason to drive them in for that follow-up. Just like pictures are a part of your medical record, right? We need to see how your treatment is settling. And that's a great time to actually personally ask for that review, because yes, they're so happy. And they'll come back, right? And this person really listened to me. The last place I went, I felt really heavy. I told her that. And she actually educated me about the difference in the product. I thought they were all the same, right? Those are the things that, yes, stick out. I would also say on the emotional piece, I think we all think about reviews in terms of Google and Yelp in the traditional sense, but we know that the landscape is changing and that patients are chronically online, sometimes to their detriment. But we know a lot of people aren't reading anymore, but they will watch a 10-second clip. And there is something very moving. The term is really narrative transportation, but there is something moving when you identify with an individual who looks like you, who is saying, oh, yes, that's exactly how I feel. If they look like someone I would associate with that looks like someone who's having the same issue as me, I also find that very trustworthy, and I'm much more likely to take that seriously. Speaking of statistics, we know that the number one reason patients choose a practice is yes, that referral or positive affirmation from someone else. And then number two is clinical authority. So I do think, yes, asking for it at the right time is a big part, but making it personal and making sure that you are keeping it well-rounded. Do you have people film UGC style reviews? They don't need to put up their before and after. They just need to talk about how they feel. And are you sharing those? Do you share that to your Google page? That is important, because as Audrey said, a lot of people are searching differently, but they also aren't going to sit there and read 15 reviews, but they'll snap through 15 videos very quickly.
100%.
And I will add, if you don't mind, I will say one more thing with that. I'm one of those people who also looks at how an office or how a business handles negative reviews. So I want to look at that. If I see only positive reviews, yes, obviously that's ideal, but that's not always the case. And I really like to see how a business has handled a negative review. Are they attacking that person who wrote the review? Are they trying to discredit them? Are they sharing, which happens more often than not, HIPAA information that should not be shared? Like, well, you came in with this problem and that, Bob, instead of just saying, we own it. We're sorry you had this experience. Please come in and let us make it right. Period. And that's where Get Kudos helps so much. So I'm a little biased on that end.
No, and I'll reference to the previous webinar we had read that, and that was a lot about how to reply to reviews and stuff. It is very sensitive. And I want to double tap again on something that Brittany says that I think most people are missing out, and they're very obsessed with a Google review, and I think that there is rightfully reasons for that. But it wasn't long ago that I had a doctor, and maybe he's here, or we're going to listen to that later, that came to me as like, Izhak, how this other doctor, there is a doctor from Miami that all of you guys know, that all their patients are just like posting about their surgeries and their boobs out, and I did this and I did that, and so bragging about what they did. And there is another one like that in Texas, and he's like, how do I get my patient to post about me? Those kind of things. And I'm like, you don't. They just do it. It's not something you can just be post about your surgery. It's so wrong, right? But with that, and really, it kind of tackled me, because how do you ask for that? Like Google review, yeah, obviously, right? And especially if you can leave QR codes, but it's not like you put a chair of a king and be like, take photos with the chair and post it everywhere. I want to hear literally in 2 cents, because we're already halfway, by the way, and we have so many other topics to cover, but kind of like 2 cents advice, how to get their patients to post more about them in social media, their surgeries, the stuff like that. That funnel in so many more clients in a Google review. Maybe on a short term. Long term Google review, I'll argue it's more important, but short term, those posts are making an impact. Janis, you start.
Quick, I would just say create a memorable experience. Create not a good experience, a memorable one. An experience where they want to share that. They had such a phenomenal experience that they want other people to experience that as well. 87% of people will pay more for a better experience. So it's not just about that. Just give them a fun, safe place where you're actually answering their questions, you're listening to them, and they have a phenomenal experience.
Audrey.
I would say I agree with that. Other one I love is an ambassador program, not an influencer. We give you free stuff. It's an ambassador, but not the young 25-year-old that's going to get free Botox. Who are mommy influencers? Who are your people coming in already that follow, that you want the Pilates mom that can go to Pilates in the middle of the day, creating the come with me experience. People love to see that. Just 10 seconds of walking in and the check-in experience, they love that. It performs so much better than any paid ad you could ever put on Meta or Google.
Brittany?
I'm going to piggyback off of Audrey and Janis by saying, yes, that experience is really important, but leveraging your ambassadors and making your membership a big part of that experience and that loyalty is huge. I think it's also a big differentiator. We can all basically create a discount program for a fee, right? But something where people feel like they are part of a community, that experiential marketing where they feel like they have input, they are going to be motivated on their own to share their opinion consistently over and over again, and will typically motivate others to provide commentary on that. As just a quick example of something I've seen someone implement with their membership program is when they have members enrolled once a year, not only do they get them together in a room with their ambassadors, if they are those external vendor partners, but they essentially do a private dinner that is a thank you to those patients, give them an opportunity to ask in an open forum, about trends that are upcoming. They create incredible swag bags, but it's much more of an appreciation moment, and they make it very Instagrammable. And it feels a little bit like FOMO, and it's something people want to be a part of and invited to. And it's a very unique experience that drives another reason why someone signs up for your membership over those discounts, because they're now involved in a community. And really, as humans, that's what we're looking for at our most basic level.
100%. And you're bleeding into the next topic, which will be membership. I just want to add one more thing, and it's, again, the nerdy side of things, the data side, right? And I'll say one of the mistakes that I've seen is practices asking everybody to do the same thing. And I'm not saying now become a psychologist and understand who is what type of personality, just see where they came from. If they came from referral, ask for referrals. If they came from Google review, ask for Google review. If they came from Instagram, ask them to do posts. And I think that just helped them to funnel back to where they came from. Makes way more sense than just ask everybody came Instagram, leave me Google review, or you came from Google review, leave me an Instagram. Just the way that I would never send the same email to 100% of all our clients. There is some that like that and some like that. So I think just slicing the demographic and really amplifying the results, right? It's not necessarily going to be the silver bullet, but it will get so much farther if we just chime to the places where those people are looking for businesses.
And Izhak, one of the things we had implemented as well with one of our offices at Get Kudos too was similar to what Brittany said, where it was an appreciation event, but more importantly, on the other side, it was a patient advisory council where we have so many different advisory councils for everything in the industry except for our customers. And so it was inviting your loyal membership program, but also your newer customers, and creating a really good advisory council where, again, it's free form. What are we not doing well? What are we doing phenomenally at? Where do we need to spend a little bit more time? Where are we missing the boat? That the patients can actually come in and tell us what they need.
100%. Okay, let's talk memberships. I have so many ideas and so many opinions on that, but I'm going to pass it to you guys. I will sprinkle on top. I want to hear the difference between the different type of memberships, your opinions about it. I've heard multiple times Beauty Banks works for me. I have goosebump every time I see on the websites all those beauty banks. And you ask them, oh, will you margins? And they don't even know what margins is. And it's like, what are you doing? And the liabilities and the obligation and the legal part of it. And still so many people are doing it. And some people are going to argue and still arguing, this is working for me. And I'm sure you know many of those. I want to hear better arguments because I'll pick that battle any day and I know I can win. But if perception is reality and if they believe that what works and there is a million other ways to do it. So give me some of your 2 cents on what you're feeling about that. And again, we know that we're in an industry that people just copy what others do. And if people tell, oh, you need to be Starbucks, and they're trying to become Starbucks, right? But tell me what your true opinion is, not just what people want to hear. And then what do you think should work? And Janis, we're going to start with you because that's in the world of the Get Kudos. You're dealing with all our practices, ins and outs, mainly on those kind of things.
So most people know I have a very strong opinion on beauty bank models. I hate them. And I don't even dislike them. I actively cannot stand them. I do not like beauty banks because they do absolutely nothing for retention with regard to actually getting your customers to come back. That is one portion of a membership. That is not the totality of it. I don't want a toxin patient to only come back and get toxin at my practice. I need a toxin patient to come back and try every other thing in my practice as well. So building out a membership that's enticing and incentivizing enough that is going to funnel that patient into and give them opportunities to try new services and to be able to experience other types of modalities is really important. There is no favorite child in an office. You know, a lot of these devices are more expensive than children. A lot of these programs are more. So it's a rising tide lifts all boats, and we really have to make sure that we are doing everything we can to not just bring patients in more frequently, but to get them to try other and new services. So that's number one. I also don't, beauty banks are the norm simply because they're the easiest to manage. It doesn't take too much work to manage a beauty bank. It's, hey, you put in this money, it goes on your account. Maybe you get a perk if you have a perk model. Maybe you don't. But most people, like Brittany was saying earlier, want community, and tying a membership to phenomenal events. I've worked with an office where we used to generate $1.5 million cash just in events. And it was one of those perks where it was FOMO. So I very much do not like beauty banks. I need the practice to realize that just because it's an easier modality to manage does not mean it's going to enhance the lifetime value of a customer. And I think so many people forget that. They're looking for a quick sale, not a lifetime.
Amazing. We're jumping the other side. Brittany, I don't know if your screen's organized like mine, but it's...
It's not, but I pick up what you're putting down. I think there's really multiple types of memberships, and you should not be determining which type you are going to hitch your wagon to until you really know your patient base. And if you're a new practice that doesn't have an existing patient base and wants, to open with a membership, you really have to go back to your ideal, right? Do you have it defined who your mission, defined what your mission, vision, and values are, what your ideal patient types are? They probably, you probably have 2 or 3 that are your ideal patient types, right? But one membership might not speak to each of those demographics. So you need to make sure that you have something that does put them in a position to, yes, get something that speaks to them, but is also simple for your clinicians and your staff to explain and discuss with them on the benefits of it. I too agree with Janis. I'm a big believer in spread. I talk about that all the time. I want a patient to touch every treatment in an office because, yes, that's really your biggest point and retention. But we go back to this experiential part. A lot of us can't even gather this data in our practice because we aren't requiring annual consults or consult check-ins. We aren't consistently doing them. And so we're not even taking the time to learn who we are serving. And so, yes, we end up with a copycat model. So my advice to people is literally whatever you have, burn it down, go back and look at it and make sure that it actually speaks to who you're serving, because there is just a ton of copy and paste out there. And again, if everybody's doing the same thing, why would I change, or why would I consider someone else?
100%. Audrey, I know you also have experience with some really large chain of med spas.
Yes, it's so funny. I actually knew that you hated Beauty Bank, and there's some instances where I hate Beauty Bank. I worked with both Beauty Bank, regular membership fees, everything. I hate a beauty bank when you don't have a standard operating procedure of how are you going to work down those liabilities. Okay, you come in and multiple of the patients have $800 plus. I'm like, by the way, according to the FTC, you have to refund that. That's their money. It's not our money. So that is my nightmare. If you have something like Get Kudos, everything like that, even though it's your beauty bank that you hate, reminding them. It also, in my opinion, is a great way to boost retention, saying, hey, you already have money to spend. I do think if you are trained right and you have those systems in place, that is a better way to upsell because you don't think you're spending as much money in that. The biggest thing for any of the memberships that I talk to them about is community. Everything has a membership. We all want memberships. I have memberships to everything. It's not a new thing, but what makes your membership different? I always say you must have quarterly member events. You must have member only, spend a member bring a member to experience it today to get the discount. Making sure that we say thank you. When I'm checking in at like the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons, they say thank you for being a member. Making sure that's part of that and just feeling good. Sending something out. They get birthday reminders. They get an annual on their anniversary, a complimentary product from one of your vendors. And making sure, like Brittany said, is the FOMO, and Janis is when I'm looking at an event that is not promotional, we're not selling anything, which we do end up selling stuff because that's how it works. I'm thinking of the millennial in me. What are the picture moments? What are the ones that people are like, oh my gosh, I have to take a photo of that and post it and say, how do I become a member? Oh, it's members only that get these. That don't have to be like we're doing an extra sale. It can just be a community, a members mixer, a mom mixer. I've even had like little groups inside of memberships, like become like a mom wine group and want to throw, other events at the spa. So making sure that if you do have a beauty bank, you have to have a system in place, and AI is amazing at this, is making sure that they're working it down. They're constantly being reminded, hey, you have $99. Hey, you have $200. Making the barrier to book very low and to use it. And then make sure your staff is trained. By the way, they have $500. So you need to sell them a new area, a new thing, upsell, educate. Make sure they try something new and use that as an incentive to make sure you have a healthy service mix, and say, hey, you have $500. We've talked about the Moxie. I would love for you to try it with, Audrey this next time. So I say both of them can work with them as long as you have the systems, but it's the experience. What does, other than a discount, get me for being a member?
And to your point, Audrey, a simple thank you goes such a long way. I live in Atlanta. I'm in the Atlanta airport 3 weeks out of the month. I only fly Delta. I get it. I live in Atlanta. But every single time I scan my ticket to get on that plane, it's thank you for your medallion status. Thank you. I have literally flown on the last day of the year without even getting out of the airport just to make my medallion qualifying miles for my next. I've flown to New York and back just to hit my next tier because I was literally one flight away. And to that point, just on the private equity side as well, really quickly, what you were saying about refunding beauty banks, that they drastically affect your quality of earnings report when you are looking to get acquired by private equity. So just an FYI for people who are looking to sell, if you are, your beauty bank model is going to affect your EBITDA significantly if you have a lot of money outstanding.
Yeah. Ultimately, they're just going to remove it. They don't count for anything. Even if you promise them the sky that people are going to come and use them, statistically, you have about 20% compounded year-over-year recurring liability. That grows over time. Just to fix the year a little bit, and I think a lot of that beauty bank, in my opinion, being around, hearing how the trend became, a lot of it came from association with Starbucks. People start to think, oh, if it works for Starbucks, it's going to work for me. And I think most people didn't go and do the basic search and realize that Starbucks, and I just refresh it right now, so I'm not going to make up for you numbers. Starbucks sold $1.7 billion liability in memberships. Most of their customers that have liability don't come and redeem it. They don't get the coffee. Now, when you get to that amount, it's free interest. You don't need to give it back, and you can go reinvest. You can open a bank if you want, but our med spas cannot support something like that. They just keep it over there, and then until, to Jenny's point, they come to sell out, and they're getting screwed with negative $500,000, sometimes $1 million. I've seen it before. They just lose it off the sale. And for what? And then on the other side, you look at all those airlines or the most simpler examples, which is you can take Amazon Prime or you can take Costco. Costco 2025, and again I did here just so I won't make up numbers, $5.32 billion in membership revenue. Pure revenue. They don't owe you anything. Actually, they just give you the right to come and shop over there. It's a different way of doing memberships, and there is a better way to do membership. It does not have to be, I'm begging you to come and buy here, and I'm going to give you money for your money that I'm holding for you as liability that I cannot even recognize as revenue. Like I said, I'll pick up the argument on Beauty Bank any day, because I think at the end of the day, it goes down to the strategy. Why are you doing membership? What are you trying to accomplish? And to your point, exactly, Brittany, who is it going to be for? It's not one membership for all. It's never going to, not, you don't want everybody as a member. I don't want everybody to be Get Kudos customers. There is customer with it. No, not for you. Right? Just
The
like
beauty
US
bank
consultants.
customers, you're like, no, not for you.
No.
Same as US consultants should be able to say, I'm not going to pick up this person phone calls. I don't want to speak to them. It's the same way. Not everybody should be member. Member is an emotional convergence. You want this person to be an advocate. This is the people who are going to leave you review. That's the people who are going to try more services, share the experiences. That's really what membership is. It's being belong. You're a member in a place, just like a gym, right?
Yep.
I think that took a really weird turn in our industry. That's like, I'm like, what are you guys doing? You're just giving away money to earn customer. It just doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
I think, I will be devil's advocate here on Beauty Bank.
Please.
I think another place that might not have necessarily been Starbucks was the sunken cost fallacy, that if someone has already dumped money somewhere, they are less likely to take advantage when there is a promo or a sale. There is a lot of psychology and study around that with us women. However, it has to have something behind it that is the motivator. So as Audrey said, what is the protocol? When you are discussing offering this membership with that specific patient, is it because you're using it more as a buy now, pay later almost option without the financing and making it more digestible for that patient, or they are a control freak and they need to know exactly how much and exactly when, and that has to be laid out for them far in advance? Yes, that it's going to be a great model. But as you said, if you don't have any structure that is documented that you stick to, and you haven't trained every single person in the practice on how that works, that goes for anything else you do. You've got to have the structure. You have to have it outlined. There have to be standards, and it really has to be practiced, revisited. And, if you need to make a revision to something, that's okay too. Like I said, if you want to burn it all down because you didn't consider stuff in the beginning, that's okay. It actually will probably benefit you to do that audit, and be reflective on everything that you do.
And to that point, Starbucks, everyone compares to Starbucks, right? Starbucks works because they have global brand recognition. I don't want the person who's choosing me as their provider to be loyal to Botox. I want them to be loyal to me. And you can't build your business before you build your brand. So going toward that, you have to know who you're trying to. Are you trying to be a jack of all trades and a master of none? Are you specifically catering to a certain niche? What are you doing? Who is your target population? Just like Brittany and Audrey were saying, but making sure your customer is loyal to you, not to, the brand of toxin or whatever it is. We know Botox. I can't tell you how many times I've taken on or I've met with someone to take on consulting, and they go, well, honestly, I just thought I would put a sign that said Botox and people would show up. And I'm like, what? There's more med spas than McDonald's now. Like, that's not happening. So you have to know what you're doing and be resolute in what you want to do and who you want to treat.
Yeah, and I think and that's a whole different type of webinar that actually I'll refer to the very first one that was with Tammy, which to me the number one in our industry for branding from Pinpoint. And it's all about, this is exactly it. It's your branding. It's who you're trying to attract. That's really where it starts. And then you can tailor the right membership to them. It's never going to be Beauty Bank for me, but no, I get your point, Brittany. If you want to keep them hostage, take your money, hold that, and then they have to come back. I get it. I'm just joking. Right.
No.
Kinda.
Yeah. I mean, look, you already have demerits from the beginning of the call, Izhak, so just keep it up. You're floating in the negative at this point.
I know the aging was really digging it.
Just so you know, the next panel I moderate, we're going to make sure we run way behind by the time we get to you.
Thank you. Right. Tell me about, so obviously part of retention is continue the engagement, stay top of mind. Sometimes there is people who needs to come back every 3 months, 4 months, sometimes every 6 months, depends on what they do, right? And sometimes, actually the best retention rate that I've seen with our statistician, right? The statisticians have the best retention because they see them every few weeks. So they're always top of mind. They're part of their schedule. They kind of like taking the kids through school, then go to the statistician. But for the other ones, they need to stay top of mind with other services like we all talk. What is a reasonable communication? What is the best methods to communicate? How would you approach that concept of just stay top of mind? Let's say they are not inside your memberships, whether you do have offer, do not offer. You just want to make sure that they not end up canceling and just go somewhere else and stuff like that. So how would you communicate? What would you advise practices to do? Audrey.
Yeah, so I'm sure you know this too, and talked about sometimes it takes like 11 touches for consumers to buy something. We have a short attention span. We want to be in front of their face. Even now with AI, I think it went up to like 22 touches now that it's required for someone to get something, to buy something, to even come in for an appointment or come back after that first visit. It's always that, like, if you leave without your second appointment, it is, I'm sure you know the statistics, it's really hard to get them back in. So I don't want to send you a bunch of texts because I'm going to really annoy you. I'm going to get marked as spam. I think that just with marketing, you need to be omni-channel to stay top of mind. And that's not just paid media on Meta and Instagram showing back up. That's expensive. Are you out in your community? Who are you serving? Are you doing community events, B2B events, showing up on other people's Instagram? I don't want to just show up on my Instagram or my Facebook. I want to be showing up on local businesses, other physicians we partner with, and then making sure too that email marketing is not dead. I love email marketing. Seeing where people are pulling them up during work, looking at that and making sure you're attributing when you're looking back at something and being able to track what is the biggest ROI. So don't just start doing this everywhere and just spending more in Meta. I told that to someone, they're like, oh, so we just need to spend more. I was like, no. It's not what I'm saying. We want to stay top of mind with texts and emails where we're not spamming them. And then community events as well. And AI is really good at that and saying, what are the best times when people are actually booking? Okay, we got the most rebooking and their most product sales from this text during this time of day. We're going to keep using that. And instead of your front desk coordinator texting everyone that didn't book their consultation, once a month as well too. So AI is really, really good at that, and it can learn and get better with retention. But I want to be over everything they consume. There's companies that can get you on blogs that are that kind of the messy middle. So before they're even searching Botox near me, they're getting subliminal messages about your experience, not what you offer, but who you are as well. So I just want them to be everywhere.
Okay, Brittany.
Yeah, so for me, this is more so about demographics. And again, going back to knowing your patient. And I don't mean their age and income level, I mean their behaviors. So Izhak, you mentioned earlier, how did you earn this patient? Was it from a referral? Ask them for a referral. Was it from a review? Ask them for a review. This is going to be the same thing with the behaviors of once they've come into the practice. Are they, in one of 3 groups, right? Are they a maintenance person? Are they a single, they come in once a year, they drop an insane amount of money, they do everything at once, and then they bounce? Or are they going to be your, people who specifically target every treatment around an event or a milestone, right? Your cadence and your outreach type is going to change based on that. So yes, you're customizing it, but do you even know where your patients fall? And do you know how you're going to motivate them based on their own behaviors already with those workflows? So, I think for me, that's the biggest thing is really customizing it by, their behavior versus just their demographic and just the specific service that they've had. Like Audrey said, you don't want your front desk sitting there just sending out a ton of, hey, it's time for your tox appointment messages all day long.
I think because patterns predict behavior so significantly, first and foremost, asking how your patient wants to be communicated with, right? What is the best way to communicate with you? Because I had this used back on me where I had it wasn't a doctor's office, but it was a business ask me. And I was like, oh, texting is the best way. And they were like, we sent you a text, multiple actually, and you didn't respond. And I'm like, oh, I didn't, but I did tell you that it was the best way. So that held me accountable as a patient, right? So figuring out how they, or as a consumer, so how does that person want to be communicated with? I think there's time for automation, but then I also think there's time for personalization. And automation, missing appointments, that is great. You cannot personalize, you cannot automate a personal follow-up. And for me, the easiest way to get a patient back in is just calling them within 24 hours of them having contact with your practice and saying, is there anything else I could have offered you? Do you have any questions? Was your treatment satisfactory? Just a quick personal phone call. I have a very rare autoimmune disease, was diagnosed when I was 13. I couldn't remember 90% of the doctors that came into my hospital room, but I can tell you the ones that came and called at 11 p.m. at night. And that was 23 years ago. I can tell you the ones who made it a point to remember me at every single touch point, and use every touch point to make it an experience with me, not just an automation. So I think there's time for both. I love the automated portion of it where it's the work smarter, not harder, and free up some of your time. But there is still a need in the provider world to be personalized.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. I think that it's a lot about building the relationships. That's really what it is. And if you start to turn your business from transaction into relationships, that's when the entire change happens. And I'm a pro SMSs, although I'm also guilty with you as well. Exactly. I'm getting all of those. My hair guy, everybody is like texting. I never answer them. But if I get it as an email, it's 100% like just somebody trying to sell me something, right? So it depends on what box you want to follow with your patient. I think there is a little bit of both. We're coming to the very end. We're actually 1 minute behind, but I would love to take 1 minute from each one of you. Just give me kind of like your closing, your biggest advice you can give to practices that they can start to do tomorrow or next week with their team, execute, that will start to move the needle of retention. And what is that needle in your eyes? Is it the rebook? Is it the retention rate? Is it the trying new services, referrals? Let's start with you, Brittany.
Your operations, audit them. Are they consistent? Is it creating the same level of experience for every patient? Do you make it memorable? Do you make it feel unique? And does every person on your team know exactly the value you're trying to deliver to your patients? So I would challenge people to actually go through their SOPs and see what they actually have and what they train on. This is a great time to use AI. We have lots of wearables. You can wear a pocket or a plod all day and it can record you, and you can see where your gaps are between providers. Use AI for those types of things, but really make sure that you're consistent, because consistency always sells.
100%. I'm going to add to that and say to all those practices who've hired consultant, most practices I've ever had a consultant at some point in their life, when they started, later, when they chatted, and they have this book with all those SOPs that they were created for them, and they have never opened that. And they still trust somebody to train somebody somehow. So it's a good place to start and then audit that. And I think it's a great point. I think the process is the key to to consistency. Janis.
I mean, I have so many, but for me, first of all, know what you're selling. Learn your clinical, and create a mission statement off of what you want to do. There's so many people who get into a business without having any direction. Again, they build a business, they don't build a brand, and businesses become commoditized, brands become intangible. And so I am very big on that. Know what you stand for. And then when I take on a private consulting client, it's a non-negotiable for me. The owner has to work at the front desk for a few hours every single week. That is my non-negotiable. You will learn everything you need to know about your business at the front desk. So I urge business owners to get in their front desk for a little bit.
Love it. Or pay you a lot of money in order to do it, right? It's not really just go and sit there because they need somebody to tell them to do it.
Exactly.
Awesome. Audrey.
I was going to piggyback off of Brittany is make sure you have a quarterly review of your SOPs. You know, you're adding on new technologies, new things happen, new people come on, and noticing those kind of breaks of, hey, we just onboarded someone, they're not having that rebooking conversation, and go through and edit them. And as you are using AI and onboarding new AI tools, then you need to update your SOPs. I talked to someone like, oh yeah, we got these 3 new tools. Here are the SOPs you gave us a year and a half ago. First of all, a year and a half ago. Like that basically has nothing to do with it. No one that you just onboarded were trained in the 3 new tools that you brought on. And then using AI, I'm the biggest person on this, but making sure that you don't just type in SOP for rebooking. You want to talk to it, give it your brand voice, give it how your patient should experience the 5 senses, touch, smell, feel. How do you want them to feel? And then give it your vision. If you don't have one, don't ask Claude or ChatGPT to make it. You need to know what your vision is, please. Do not ask it to give you your vision or your mission statement, and then work from there and build your SOPs. And it will be it can give you, hey, how do I do this with my team? How do I set up meetings as well too, and make sure that we're holding these standards. It's really good at that, but you have to know your mission statement, your patient demo, and then you can give it to AI and how you want them to experience your clinic.
Awesome. Okay. I want to thank all of you. My takeaway, and I'll say my 2 cents, is take a demo of Get Kudos. 90% of everything we talked about here, we can do. That's really why I created that. But it's not to sell. It's to educate, right? So that's why we're here. It was very valuable, and I want to appreciate all of you and your insight and your experience and sticking around for an hour and share all of those good stuff. And I will see you out there. Thank you so much, and thanks for the attendees who stuck around.
Thank you.
Thank you.